Eastern Illinois head coach Adam Cushing, the Panthers coming off a loss at Murray State and was not a conference game, the first of two meetings between those teams this year. After 6 games in a row, EIU has an open date. They'll be back in action on October 16th, first of 2 straight home games when they host nationally ranked UT Martin. So, Coach, just thoughts about your team heading into this open date, and then we'll go into questions.
Yeah, I mean, I said it to the team right after the game. I said it to them again on Sunday. This open date comes at the right time. We need it right now. Certainly from a health perspective, first and foremost, right? 6 weeks in a row is a grind, and so I think we've got some positive news hopefully heading our way with some of these guys that have missed some time injury wise, and obviously we're scuffling a little bit. We had a pretty good effort out there, but we beat ourselves, and that's been kind of our theme. And that's, yeah, quite honestly, that's on us as coaches, and so we've got to take this time as coaches to evaluate what type of stuff is working for us. What do our guys, execute with confidence? And there's a difference between just, getting the job done and executing with extreme confidence. And so that's what we're focusing on this week, is just making sure that our guys are doing that. And obviously, when you play a really, really good football team like Murray in this past game, they make it tough. But the difference was they made plays with extreme confidence. They made the plays they needed to make, and we didn't. And so that's on us as coaches to find those.
Okay, thanks, Coach. We'll go ahead with questions. Dan, go ahead with wherever you have.
So I know you don't always have the choice, but is this kind of ideally where you like to have a bye, or do you prefer it somewhere else?
No, I like it right in the middle, if at all possible, because again, they're just such a grind. And when you add preseason camp onto it, right, with these guys haven't had a chance to just take a deep breath in quite a while, right? And so that's kind of been the focus so far. Is we got off the bus pretty late Saturday night, but we got together early Sunday morning as a team, which is a little unusual for us, just to give the guys a chance to, even on Sunday, just watch some NFL football. And just mentally, we've got to get that rest and recovery this week just as much as physically, because it is a heck of a grind. And then you have some guys that are banged up throughout, even in preseason camp and first half of the season, and you get a chance to just truly take a deep breath and maybe get a little bit more healthy. This is the right time, especially because the rest of our games are conference, right? We've gotten all of our out of conference games are behind us now. So now the rest are conference. We get an opportunity to recycle our mindset for the conference.
How would you assess your team at this point? Things that you've seen, and then areas you're like, hey, this is something we have to improve if we're going to win games.
Yeah, it's a great question. Obviously, it's exactly what we're doing this week. I think, our defense has kept us in football games. They've played really, really hard. Obviously, give up a few explosives this past week, and Murray's going to run the football and they're going to do it well. And 31's a good back, and so is 18. All the guys that they play, they came in and they executed their game plan, but our guys just kept playing hard. And when you look at what our guys were, what our defense has done throughout the season is just play really, really hard. We've got to execute a little bit better to take that next step defensively. We've got to make sure that we're truly putting them in positions to execute the things, again, that they can execute with confidence. Offensively, obviously, we're kind of a roller coaster, and right now that's not a recipe for winning football, because we've moved the ball pretty well in a bunch of our games, and then there's been games where we just haven't moved it at all. And then we start the game moving the ball pretty darn well the other day, and then we just can't finish, can't capitalize on it. And so that offensively we've just got to get consistency. But again, I think that's from just some, what can we execute with extreme confidence. And then special teams wise, our coverage teams have been pretty darn good. We've done some really good things with our kickoff team and our punt team. Obviously our punt block and return team has made some big plays for us, and then made some bonehead plays for us, quite frankly. So we got to eliminate those bonehead plays. And then to be honest, Matt Judd finally getting himself in a position. He was entered the season as a second team all OVC returner and hasn't had many opportunities. So we're kind of hoping we can get him going here in the second half to really get our special teams going. And And then we've got to be better in the kicking game. We've got to be better making our field goals, because you look over, just across the sideline from this past game. That was their guy was a specialist of the week for a reason. He made his kicks, and he made tough kicks and long kicks, and we've got to have that be part of our team in order for us to have consistent success.
I have to ask you as a follow-up to that, any consideration as switching kickers?
We're going to have incredible competition this week. That is for sure. The first thing we're going to do tomorrow is a fun drill that I learned from our previous special teams coordinator, Benny Boyd, called Chase the Kicker, where both kickers are operating at extreme tempo, and the teams are trying to catch each other. Both PAT field goal teams are just rotating like crazy and just get as many kicks we possibly can, because we got to put them in some pressure situations. Right. We've got to get them to go execute. And in the end, that's always the case at every position. There's always going to be competition, and we are going to continue to play the guy that practices the best. And so if anybody else practices the best, and I had a conversation with Stone this morning and said, hey man, I got supreme confidence in you. I just think that maybe you don't have confidence in yourself right now. And that's a real thing, when you have a couple of miscues. So, but I think if we put him in competitive situation and he rises to that challenge, that's where you can get that trust in yourself back.
I got one more, then I'm going to turn over to Kyle. You've been on the road so much this year, and after the bye week, you're actually going to have 2 home games in a row. What does that mean from the mindset of the coaching staff and the team?
The coaches mentioned it yesterday, almost incredulous, right? Because we really do try and focus one game at a time, and it just is what it is, right? And so we were, you get a chance to take a deep breath and look long term and go, holy cow, bye week. And then, we're going to sleep in our bed for a while here. This is cool stuff, right? And I'll be honest, that game that we had, our one home game of the year so far, was an incredible environment. It really was. The students came out, they were excited. It was an awesome turnout. And this next one's going to be Hall of Fame weekend. So some of our former players are going to be back. I'm really excited about that environment, and just, our guys, that gives our entire football team a chance to be on the sideline with us, right? Our entire family to link up. And I think that's a pretty important deal. That's the home field advantage that your sideline, the passion, the energy that you get every day in practice from that juice squad, as we call them. They get to bring that juice squad to the game.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Coach, just talk a little about Russell Dandy, another defensive performance where the last couple of weeks you've had different people step up. He had 2 interceptions, 7 tackles.
And a forced fumble and recovered fumble. He had an incredible game at corner. He is a physical guy. He plays the game the way you love to see corners play it. And, no offense to corners, but not every single one of them loves contact, right? But Russell absolutely does. And then he's got speed to go with it, right? And so, it was a really, really, really impressive performance. Chris Bowers, our defense coordinator, went out on a limb as far as to say it's the best performance of a single game performance of a corner that he's ever coached. And that it might actually be the case. He said that. I went, wow, that's pretty bold. And then I thought about it and went, 7 solo tackles at corner, that's not normal, right? 7 solo tackles at corner is not normal. When they weren't throwing the ball a bunch, it wasn't like he was making tackles down the field a whole bunch. He was showing up in the run game, right? And then forces a fumble, recovers a fumble. We turn the ball over. He comes right back and makes big plays. I'm just incredibly proud of the way that he has progressed since he showed up here. And just in terms of maturity, there's a reason that he's doing things well. He's a really, really bright young man, comes from a great family, and he's doing the right things in the classroom. Like we talk about around here, how you do anything's how you do everything. And Russell is the embodiment of that right now. And I'm just proud to see him doing it.
And last question I've got for you, total defense, you're all second in the OVC, only behind Murray, who you played. Can you just talk about that stat going into, you're undefeated in OVC play and going into the second half of the season after your open date?
Yeah, I said it, when Dan asked the question, certainly that's what's keeping you in games. And as much as I'm an O-line coach, right, I'm smart enough, not that smart, but I'm smart enough to know the defense truly does win championships, right? And when your defense is playing really, really hard and together, our defenses plays that aren't hard. They play together. They believe in each other all the time. There's supreme confidence. It doesn't matter if Coach Bowers calls an 11-man pressure or 11-man drop coverage. they feel like it's going to make the stop every single play because of who they have next to them, right? They truly have trust in each other. And so it's fun. It really is. And they get to be that heartbeat of the team. They come over the sideline. They've got energy. It's if we get an opportunity to build on what they're doing, then, it's going to be a heck of a fun OVC season. It really is. And it's exciting, as you mentioned. I said it, for as much as that game hurt us and as bad as that pit in our stomach was on Saturday, wasn't a conference game. And now we get to head into the season knowing what we need to do with an extra week to work on it. So if we can build on the way that our defense is playing, I think that we can do some really cool things.
Coach, appreciate your time this morning. Best to your team in the open date, and we'll talk to you again next Tuesday.
Appreciate you guys. Have a great one. Go Panthers.